All right, welcome. We're going to go ahead and review for quiz 1.1, which will cover the undefined terms. Before we review for the quiz, I ask that you grab a piece of paper and take notes as you're watching the video so that it's all muscle memory. You're able to feel confident when you're taking that quiz. So, first thing that we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to look at all the terms that we discussed in lesson 1.1. We're going to look at the terms and we're going to figure out how do we define each term. For instance, we have a point, which is a term. A point is a location. It's a dot you physically cannot see unless you create it or draw it. And in order for us to name a point, we look at the capital letter right next to it. So here's my dot or my point. This is my location. And to name a point, we use the capital letter right next to it, which in this case is Z. So we call this point Z or point Z. Okay, and the rule here is that we just use a capital letter to name a point. All right, so here we go. We're going to go ahead and move on to a line. A line extends forever in both directions, hence these arrows. So it's going forever in both directions. It doesn't stop. To name a line, you need 2 points to name a line. So I have 3 points, but really remember that a line contains an infinite number of points, but you see 3 points here. We're going to be working with 2 points. So we have X, Y, and Z. I can call this line X, Y. So here are my 2 points. And what do I have to do? I have to draw a line above those 2 points. So this is really called line XY, or you can call this line YX if you wish. So you're just basically swapping the position. It doesn't matter. The order doesn't matter when it comes to lines. You can also call this line XZ or line YZ. Because the rule here, again, we just need 2 points to name a line. We need 2 points to name a line. But what about this lowercase letter that's right next to the line? Well, you can use this to name the line. You don't need just 2 points to name a line. You can use the lowercase letter right next to the object itself, which we can call this line. We can call this line L, and that's a lowercase letter L. It's in cursive, so this is an L. All right, so we have a point, we have a line. We're going to go ahead and move on to collinear points. Collinear means together. So all of these points here are together on the same line. So we can say A, B, C, D. So points A, B, C, D are collinear. Points A, B, C, D are collinear. All right. Plane. A plane extends forever in all 4 directions. So in order for us to name a plane, you need 3 points to name a plane. Luckily, we have 3 points here. So we have A, B, C, or points A, B, and C. I can call this plane A, B, C. The rule here is I need 3 points to name a plane. You can switch up the order if you wish. You can call this plane CAB or plane BAC. It doesn't really matter. The order doesn't matter. So 3 points to name a plane. What about this? Is this a point here? It doesn't have a point right next to it. So if you see a capital letter on the plane itself with no point, then that's the name. That's another way to name this plane. You can call this plane T. So we have plane A, B, C, or you can call this plane T. Coplanar points. They are points on the same plane. So we have points A, B, C, and D. So we can say that points A, B, C, and D are together on the same plane. They are coplanar. And we can also say that this line here, line BC, is coplanar with A and D. So if I remove the word points, coplanar in the context of this line and these points, we can say that line BC is coplanar with points A and D on the same plane. Okay? Line segment. A line segment is part of a line where it has two endpoints. So basically, I start here, I'm going from point A to point B, or going from point B to point A, right? We're not going to go forever to the left or forever to the right. We just stop at a certain point. So we have two endpoints. In order for us to name a line segment, we need two endpoints, right? So I have points A and B. They're endpoints. So I'm going to write A, B. And then what do I do here to call it a line segment? Well, I need a bar above those 2 points. So this is called line segment AB. Okay, so I need two endpoints. And I can call this, if I wanted to, line segment BA. So BA with a bar above those 2 points. So a ray starts somewhere and then it's going to extend forever in one direction. So I'm starting at point A and I'm going to approach B and I go, I'm extending to the right forever. I don't stop. That's what a ray is. So how do you name a ray? You need to first start with the beginning endpoint, or the starting point, if you will. We're starting at A. That's what I need to write first. You cannot write B or C first, because B and C are not the endpoints. And then what do I write after that? You can put B right after the starting point, or you can put C right after the starting point. It doesn't really matter. So I can call this ray AB, or you can call this ray AC. As long as you have that starting point first, then you're good to go. So starting point, and then any point after. And let's make a note, order matters. Order matters. Okay, also, let's go ahead and throw this out here. Let's say I give you an angle. So we'll call this A, this will be B, and this is C. So you see that we have two rays. So we have a ray here and a ray here, and these two rays form an angle. So how do I name this ray? What's the starting point? It's A, so I'm going to put A first, and then B right after. So it's ray AB, not ray BA. If you call it ray BA, you're going to get points taken off. You don't want that. And then over here, this is going to be ray AC, right? I'm starting at A, and then I'm going to go or approach C, and then it's going to extend in one direction. So I have ray AB and ray AC. All right? And this will come up when we talk about lesson 1-4, angles. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next section of our notes here, and that's doing practice problems. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to look at this figure. We're going to reuse this figure to answer the next two questions here. Number 1 says, name a point coplanar with points A, C, and D. So where are points A, C, and D? Here's A, here's C, and here's D. Now, I gotta find a point that's together with these 3 points here. They gotta be coplanar. They must be all on the same plane. So again, A, C, and D. Here's A, C, and D. What's that one point coplanar with these 3 points here? That has to be point B. So B or point B is my answer. and it's the only point that's not mentioned in the problem itself. So B, or point B, would be the best answer for number 1. Number 2, name a line coplanar with points A and D. So remember, coplanar, all the objects must be on the same plane. And this line here is coplanar with points A and D. So what's that line here? How do we name this line? Well, we have 2 points, and since we have 2 points, we can name that line with 2 points. So I can say BC with a line above those 2 points, or if you want, you can switch the order. You can call this line CD. So we have line BC or line CD. This line is coplanar with points A and D. All right. So that's that for the first 2 problems that we just did. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this picture here to answer these 2 questions. It says, what is the intersection between the 2 lines? So we have this line here and this line here. And by the way, this is a lowercase r. That's a lowercase r. Sorry if you couldn't tell. But what is the intersection between the 2 lines? Okay, so intersection means where the 2 objects meet. So if I have this line here and I have that line there, they're going to cross or meet at this particular point. They only intersect once, and they intersect at A or point A. A or point A. That's where they meet. Number 2 says, what's another name for line R? So again, this is line R. It's next to this line here, and it's lowercase. So what's another name for line R? What do we need? We need 2 points to name a line. We have 1, 2, 3 points here, and there are so many ways you can name this line. But again, the rule here is that you need 2 points. So let's say, okay, I have a point here and a point here. That makes 2. I can call this line NA or line AN. You can call this line AO. Or you can call this line OA if you wish. And then we got one more, line NO, or line ON. So you got 3 ways to name this line R. Okay? Okay, so now what we're going to go ahead and do is use this figure to answer this question here, this one question here. So it says, name the number of planes shown on the figure. And this is going to be really, really easy. We got multiple planes that create this, one picture that we have here. So we have a semicircle, a triangle, a rectangle, and we have a trapezoid here. All right, so all of these planes create this one picture. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 planes. And that's my answer. Okay, so for our final problem tonight, we're going to be looking at this particular problem. It says draw and label line XY, which we will also name line T, which intersects plane B at Z. So I'm going to identify 2 objects in question. I have line XY and plane B. And these 2 objects should meet at this particular location, Z or point Z. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is draw my plane. And the plane could look something like this. It doesn't necessarily have to be slanted. We're used to seeing the planes being slanted, which is not always the case. It doesn't have to be slanted. And I got to go ahead and label this plane. Because it's called plane B, I need to put a capital letter B somewhere on the plane. There shouldn't be a point next to the capital letter B here. It should just be B on top of the plane itself. So here I have plane B. Now let's introduce line XY. Now line XY is going to come from the sky. So here's the line. It's coming from the sky. It's going to approach the plane, and it's going to touch the plane once, or it's going to intersect the plane at Z or point Z. And it is going to go through this plane at this particular spot here, which we call Z or point Z. All right, so here's my line. It's going to go down. Here it's going to touch the plane, and then it's, going through that plane. Which looks something like this. And don't forget, we got to name, or we got to label this line. So here's X, and here's Y. So I have line XY, which intersects this plane at Z or point Z. And we can also call this line T, the line itself, line T. So this might be really, really difficult to, understand what's going on. So here is my plane, and this is my line. The line is going to go through the plane just like this, and it's going to intersect this point Z or point Z. Okay? Whatever I have here is essentially the figure that I drew on this paper. Okay, so what I want you to go ahead and do when you're done watching this video, make sure that you're reviewing lesson 1-1, the notes and the homework, so that you're prepared for the quiz itself. So good luck to you all, and I hope this video is helpful, and I strongly do encourage that you go back and look at your notes and your homework assignment. Okay, toodles!